Michael Kaskey-Blomain over at 97.3 ESPN.com. A lot of names surrounding the 76ers, Michael, and right off the bat, it sounds like they're a team that is certainly looking to find a wing player. Is that something that they are definitely going to try to come out with by this time tomorrow?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Sixers are basically interested in really any perimeter players that can, spread the floor and shoot the ball. I think some options are obviously more realistic than others. The team has obviously, been associated with quite a few names, heading into free agency, like you mentioned. So I think, Brian Colangelo has said as much. It's the top priority, I think, for the team to add some, quality, high-caliber perimeter players in free agency.
Mike, give me a couple names that the Sixers could be targeting for that role that you just mentioned, spreading the floor, shooting the ball.
Well, there's been a few, obviously that have made some waves with the headlines. Harrison Barnes was one that was first reported a couple days ago by ESPN and has, picked up some steam nationally over the past couple days. He's a guy that was obviously a fourth fiddle on Golden State, but, when he's playing well, he has the ability to spread the floor and kind of play a couple different positions, so he could fit in well there. Alan Crabb from Portland is another one that was reported. He's a young shooting guard that has been improving and would fit really well into, what the Sixers are doing at this point, especially with his age and skill set. Another one that I've been hearing, some noise about is Courtney Lee, who was an unrestricted free agent. He played with the Grizzlies and the Hornets last year. He's a little bit older than a couple of the other guys. He's 30 years old now, but he would, he'd fit the bill for the Sixers as far as being a guy that can spread the floor, play some perimeter defense, and has that veteran experience that the team is looking for.
Let me start with Barnes. You have any interest in Barnes? He seems like he's kind of an enigma player with Sixers fans. It seems like we did a poll on Twitter at 97.3 ESPN. It was literally 50-50 whether or not you wanted him to be the target for Philadelphia. 50-50 on Barnes. Where are you?
I think that's a pretty fair representation because I do like Harrison Barnes as a player. I think he has a good skill set. My reservations come in, obviously, at the price tag. I don't think that, the reports were that the Sixers would be paying him max money around, 90-some million over 4 years. I don't know if it's wise to commit that much money to a guy who might not be, a top fiddle. And then also the sort of the redundancy on the roster. He played a bulk of his minutes in Golden State at the four, kind of as a spread four in the small ball system. And with, obviously Simmons coming in through the draft, Dario Saric potentially coming over, whoever else still is on the wing, whether it be Covington or Grant or Stauskas, it just seems kind of like a repetitive position to pay Barnes the max money. I think they should look more toward the point guard, shooting guard position.
So, Michael, of the guys you mentioned, Barnes, Crabb, Courtney Lee, I've heard Dion Waiters as well. Who's the highest on your list?
I think Crabb would be a great fit. Like I said, he's a younger guy that certainly fits the bill as far as a guy that can spread the floor and shoot. There's some concerns with him on the defensive end, and I think it would probably take a pretty hefty contract to pry him away from Portland at this point. So at that point, Courtney Lee might also be another option. Like I said, his age is a little bit of a concern. But at the same time, the veteran experience that he would bring, he's, been in the NBA Finals in 2010 with Orlando when they lost to the Lakers. He's been around the league on several different teams. So I think that experience combined with, the skill set that he has, Courtney Lee's skill set is basically exactly what the Sixers should be targeting. A 3-and-D type guy that is, athletic and can fit right into that shooting guard spot. So I like both Lee and Crabb as potential additions. I'm not as high on Dion Waiters as some are. And same with Harrison Barnes. My main thing is I like him. It's just a matter of, the money. The Sixers have it, so I guess it could be spent in a worse way. But, he's not quite the exciting player that I think some people would like.
Michael Kaskey-Blomain's with us. Michael, what's the latest you're hearing about Dario Saric?
All signs seem to be a go. I've held the position that I'm going to wait to celebrate his arrival until he signs on the dotted line and it's officially announced by the team. But I think the news that came out of Turkey yesterday that Dario had informed a couple of reporters of his decision that he was, going to be coming, I think is very, promising. And I think at this point it's just a matter of the team and him and his people kind of having the time to get together. He's, obviously playing with the Croatian national team and whatnot this summer. I think it's a matter of just hammering out the details of, getting him actually over here and finalizing his buyout and whatnot. But, everything that I've heard and read seems to point that he will be joining the Sixers for this coming season.
Hey, Michael, I'm assuming you read the True Hoops piece on Hinkie?
Yeah. Yeah,
you had it. You had 2.5 hours to get that whole thing in.
It was long.
Yeah, I found some time.
Yeah. So, your thoughts? I mean, I know that you've been supportive of what the Sixers have done, but I think this really sheds some light on that. It sounds like, this is my take. See if yours differs. That a lot of GMs around the league were somewhat supportive and almost saying, "Look, we wish we could do something like this. Our owners wouldn't let us," but that people around the league almost feared what the Sixers were doing, and people feel like that the NBA felt the same way and that they kind of intervened in this situation because they didn't like the fact that the Sixers were basically going to get good off of being bad.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the league itself felt threatened, kind of exactly like you said. In that article, it pointed to the fact that Adam Silver was potentially more concerned by the number of people supporting the quote-unquote process rather than the people detracting from it, which, like you said, kind of leads you to believe that, he thought that this was something that if, it caught and proved successful would be, a model that others would try to emulate, which in the long run is not something, obviously, that I think he would want for his league. And as far as the other GMs are concerned, that's something that I've kind of heard throughout the past couple of years. There was reports that GMs didn't necessarily like dealing with Hinkie or like what he was doing. I think a lot of that was based on almost a form of jealousy where Hinkie was kind of given the green light to do this by the ownership group in Philadelphia. And, a whole lot of other GMs and organizations aren't really given that same opportunity. They have, less of a timetable where they're not really given the time to completely tear things down as much as they would actually like to. And Hinkie, he did that well. I don't think any GM in the league could really look at what the Sixers have now compared to what they had 3 years ago and say that he didn't do a great job of, tearing it down and setting it up for a restructure. So I definitely think that there was, a little bit of resentment tied into some jealousy by, some of the other GMs in the league.
Michael, Sean Davidi's going to join us at 3:05, and he says that agents are now saying their clients want to play for the Sixers. Is that something you hear as well? Because there was a lot of talk that players wouldn't want to come here. Are their minds being changed now?
Yeah, I certainly think that the Sixers are trending upwards. I'm not necessarily crediting that to the presence of the Colangelos, although I'm sure it helps a little bit as far as the agents are concerned if they didn't want to deal with Hinkie. But I think just the timing of everything coming together at this point. That article on ESPN yesterday, True Hoop, mentioned a little anecdote about Elton Brand when he joined the Sixers as a free agent halfway through last season. How he kind of had the impression that the team was, not very well structured all the way through. And then when he got to Philadelphia, he was kind of shocked at how great the organization was itself, how it was set up to benefit the players from everything from, the coaching staff to the new practice facility to just the way the players are treated. He basically said it's a winning organization from top to bottom. The only thing that's not winning right now is just on the court. And I think kind of once that gets through the league and other players start to realize that and hear that combined with the talent that's coming in Sixers, young and exciting talent, I think there's definitely some excitement amongst some of the players to, consider coming to Philadelphia in free agency, if not this summer, then in the summers to come.
That letter that Hinkie wrote, 7,168 words. Mike's talking about how long the article is. The letter was ginormous, if that's a word. And is it almost fitting to you that his final message was even misconstrued? Even his going away letter was nobody knew what it meant.
Yeah, it was pretty fitting for a way to end his tenure. You had people, just like his, during his entire time, you had people on both sides of the fence with the letter. There was people, they were supportive of it and saying how intellectual it was and how, it pointed out everything that he had done in a very organized way. And then there was others on the other side of the fence saying that it was really just another example of Hinkie kind of acting as though he was the smartest man in the room and kind of just, emphasizing all the things that he had done to kind of make himself look better. In the end, I don't necessarily think it was either. It was just him expressing, his feelings of what he had done. But, certainly I don't think he expected it to get leaked like it did. It was definitely an interesting way for him to go out. But like you said, I think it was kind of fitting that, his last real move was something that was kind of debated and misunderstood as much of his tenure was.
At the real Mike KB on Twitter, and the Sixers planning on being pretty active in free agency. 12:01, it all gets underway. We'll see if they end up with someone this time tomorrow. We'll probably have some information. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.